All right, with a few schools set to kick off college football this weekend and everybody else starting their season next weekend, I got to give LSU head coach Brian Kelly some credit here. My guy tried to move heaven and earth to get his suspended five-star defensive tackle, Mason Smith, available to play in their Sunday night showdown against number 8 Florida State. For those of you that don't know, five-star defensive tackle Mason Smith was suspended one game by the NCAA for allegedly taking part in a signing that he was paid for just 1 month before the legalization of NIL. So this took place all the way back in July of 21. Crazy to think about. Now, LSU and their lawyers tried to pull out all the stops saying, we knew it was going to be legalized. The NCAA said there's no grandfather clause. What else is the NCAA going to do? They have to sit here and lay down as much punishment as they can because they're a useless, gutless organization like we all know they are at this point. But we don't really see this anymore in the era of the NIL. Everyone kind of gets paid. It's kind of all above board. You're not really going to see much of this anymore. But Smith has been suspended for that one game because he was not able to serve that suspension last season. Smith was injured in last year's game against Florida State after celebrating a teammate's tackle. He tore his ACL, so he was not medically cleared to play in any of the games last season. And the NCAA makes it pretty set. Once they lay down the suspension, it's final, and the player has to serve their suspension for their next available medically cleared game. So you can't get out of it saying, oh, he's hurt, this is a suspended game. It has to be medically cleared. He obviously was not with the knee injury, and Brian Kelly tried to get this figured out. They knew this was coming down the pipe. They should have done a better job of preparing, but they've been scrambling for the past couple weeks, trying to get an opponent scheduled for week 0 to make him serve that game suspension and have him available. This is a big game for the Tigers. They lost to Florida State last year. They had a very good season, won a couple of big games, but threw it away at the end there. Had a shot to play themselves into the playoffs, but they threw it away. Now they're feeling revitalized. It's a very, very different look in the SEC West than it has been most of these years. Alabama is definitely down, according to most people. There's not really that third team that anyone feels a lot of heat from. Ole Miss and Texas A&M, the other ranked teams in the division. So the Tigers sitting there at number 5 feel like this is their year. They brought back a lot of players that they can go snatch the SEC West and then get into the playoff, or maybe have to beat Georgia to get in that playoff. It just depends how the season goes. But Brian Kelly did it all, tried to get a week 0 opponent. They tried to move games around. They tried to use legalese to get him not suspended for this Florida State game. But the NCAA and their crotchety selves laid down the law. So I give him a lot of credit. He really, really tried. They just couldn't get the logistics worked out at all. That's a coach selling out for his player. Now you could say, obviously he knows they need them to really possibly win that game, of course, but man, I want to take it as a positive note that this is a guy going to war for his players. Now, I get it. He ain't going to war for a backup, probably going to war for his starters. Absolutely. He knows the impact he's going to have on that game. And it's tough. You know, Smith is a big game. He probably wants that revenge. Tore his knee in this game last year. He's want to get back out there. He's going to want to prove himself. But looking at LSU's schedule here, it's not too tough. They got the number 8 Florida State Seminoles. You're not going to get super punished losing this game week 1, I don't think. The problem is you don't want to slip up further down the road like they did this past season, because if they didn't lose that opener last year, they would have been pretty much a lock to get into the playoffs if they had beaten A&M, even if they lost to Georgia in that SEC title game. And again, the schedule is very friendly. At Ole Miss at the end of September, that's your first ranked opponent after Florida State. We got Cupcake W, then Missouri, Auburn, Army, and then obviously the rivalry game at Alabama the first week of November. That's your toughest road game of the season. You gotta win that game. That's gonna probably determine the SEC West. Now, if A&M can actually show up this year, it may come down to this last game on after Thanksgiving. But hey, you're at home, get some payback. A&M whooped your ass last year. Historically, they've had a very good run against A&M, but Jimbo's brought that back for the Aggies. One of the few teams the Aggies do play well against under Jimbo. So it'll be interesting to see how this suspension plays out for LSU, what impact it would have on them. I like the Tigers this year. I'm not as high as everybody else is. I know I might be a little bit biased, but I gotta give it to Brian Kelly. Some people don't like him. I always liked him at Notre Dame. He seems like a guy who goes out there for his players. Call him corny, call him lame. He feels like a player's coach, and he's pretty good at drawing up X's and O's. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Are we excited for college football season started? Are you hyped up that they're going out there for their guy in a head coach like Brian Kelly? Are you annoyed that the NCAA wants to ruin everything and suspend everybody because they suck ass? Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Again, like this video, subscribe to the channel if you're not already, share this video with your friends, and I'll see you all tomorrow.